Hey guys, Deathbyphiw here. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about the director's take, mixing up the meta in the mid-season, posted on March 7th. And it looks like we have some updates coming to Overwatch and coming rather quickly, so stick around. Well guys, there's a lot of change that's happened in season 9, and now there's more changes happen, and it looks like the director and the Overwatch devs are actually listening to us, so keep that in mind when they wrote up these patch notes. They're listening to the community, and changes are coming because of us, so be careful what we wish for, right? Well, let's see what there is to offer here. So hello wonderful people, and welcome to the mid-season 9 director's take. This season had the most significant changes to the game that we made in a long time. When we launched season 9 in February, we wanted to make sure to keep an eye on your feedback and react to what we saw. So right off the bat, they're reacting to what we saw, they're getting provided with feedback, and they're listening to us. We've had 2 patches so far. 2 patches in 2 weeks is pretty crazy. And we've had yet another one, which is quite the stunner, coming up next week. Let's get into that. No, wait, let's talk about where we're at, and then get into that. So, the changes made this season were designed to address multiple issues in the game, based largely in part on your feedback. We're happy with how these modifications have shifted the game. I agree, the modifications shifted the game quite a bit. That kind of feels fresh and new in Overwatch 2. I mean, we may not all be in the best place. Tank may be a little bit struggling right now, but who plays tank unless you're insane, right? Just kidding. But there are 2 areas we want to improve a bit. The damage passive. Ooh, DPS passive nerf coming, I bet. And how some individual heroes have landed after the shakeup. Some nerfs coming, maybe some buffs. We think the direction we're heading in is correct. I agree too, but agree that some changes still need to be ironed out. Wonderful. Let's start with the damage passive. Please nerf the damage passive. Please nerf the damage passive. Please nerf the damage passive. It's had quite a big impact on the game. It has. It was designed to push our damage heroes to the forefront of a fight. I agree, I like it. In terms of securing kills, it's definitely doing this. Overwatch is about eliminating the opponents and sending them back to spawn. Some of us can't do that though, because y'all just terrible at aiming, but go ahead. So we think it's healthy for damage heroes to have a large impact here. But it may be pushed a bit too far. There can be moments where it feels a bit too dangerous, even as tank, to expose yourself, or where your health can burn down quicker than expected while being healed. I really do feel for tank mains. Like, it's been rough, especially with this DPS passive. They've had to play a lot more careful with the way they play the game with the DPS passive. One of the goals of the recent health increase was to soften some of the burst damage in the game. This is one of those effects that can be very difficult to tune just right, so we're going to take a small step back in the next patch and lessen the healing reduction from 20 to 15%. Maybe not enough, but 5% is better than nothing. I think the DPS passive was a bit too strong. 20% felt like so rough for a tank player to play the game, and also very difficult to dish out heals, although healing did need a nerf in the game. Like, supports were pretty much OP, best role in the game for quite a while, so I'm not arguing there, but we just need to tweak it a little bit, and I like what they're doing here. So they say we'll keep an eye on it and go from there. So if 15% is still too much, it looks like they might come down a little bit more, maybe down to 10%. Might be a happy medium. Maybe it'll go down a little bit more than that, or a little less. So maybe it'll go down to like 12.5%, but we'll see. They're paying attention, they're listening to us, they're hearing our feedback, and they're putting it into the game, and then they're blaming us for our feedback if it doesn't work. Haha, just kidding. With balance, we're touching roughly half the heroes in the roster in this patch. Whoa. Nerfs, buffs, reworks, who knows, ability changes, updates. That's happening in a mid-season patch. That is crazy. That's going to be happening in the next few days. I think on Tuesday of next week. That's crazy. Half the heroes are getting touched. That's going to be a big shakeup. I like it. The power of heroes moved around a lot this season, and while we think this type of change can be healthy for the game, we'd still like to make sure that all heroes feel viable. Fair enough. We'll release the full set of patch notes in a few days, but I'd like to get into a few of the more notable changes that we're making here. So yeah, some heroes aren't viable right now. Like, I feel like Mercy and Lifeweaver and Illari are just like pretty much almost unplayable in the current meta. Yeah, you can make it work in different setups and comps in certain situations, but most of the time they're just not played at all. Ana also feels a little bit weak. Kiriko is still kind of good, which I think she's in a good place and doesn't need any changes. But you know, it feels like you're just walking out of spawn with like Lucio, Zen, Moira, maybe a Bap, maybe a Curie, maybe a Brig. But like 3 heroes in the game are completely unplayable, and that's Mercy, Lifeweaver, and Illari. Of course, people may argue with me in the comments, say, yeah, people can play them, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, you could play them if you're good enough with them. I'm not saying you shouldn't play them. I'm just saying they're not as strong. They feel a little bit underwhelming right now, and they need maybe a buff. So on the support side, we're making a fairly significant buff to Ana's grenade. I'm an Ana main. Let's see, what is this? Its damage and healing will move from 60 to 90 health to give her more self-survivability. Okay, this is huge. Maybe not as big, but Ana feels a little underwhelming right now because she has like no survivability. And with the healing buffs across the spectrum on all heroes, she was untouched. She didn't get any healing buffs whatsoever, and her anti-nade just stayed exactly the same. So it does counter the DPS passive, but it's been nerfed kind of like really low, which was fine in old health pools, but in new health pools, it needs just a little bit of a tweak, I think, just to maybe keep her alive and also maybe to keep the tank alive when they're taking a lot of damage. So 60 to 90, quite, you know, not as high as I would like. I would like it to be about 100, but that's fine. I don't think it's broken. I think it would make her a little bit more balanced. Maybe bump her up into like A tier. I think she's like right around B tier right now, but this is good. I like it. Don't go too crazy with the changes because we don't want supports to be broken. I like them to be like in the middle. Ana is an interesting hero and one of the most played in the game. So we're hoping that this adjustment brings her to a place where she feels viable but not dominant. Fair enough. I agree. I'm not biased. Maybe I am. I'm an Ana main. But yeah, she needed a little bit of a tweak. We're also making a few adjustments to Lifeweaver to help with his healing burst potential. So Lifeweaver is getting a buff like I predicted. His maximum heal will increase from 70 to 80, with the maximum charge increasing from 1 to 1.15. Along with the reduced damage roll passive, we think both he and Mercy will be more reliable moving forward. So Mercy is obviously, like I said before, gutted by the DPS passive. It's too strong and makes her really weak. So the passive decrease from 20 to 15% will make Mercy more viable. It may also make other support heroes more viable. So there also may be some changes to Mercy. We don't know, but they didn't really mention it. So we'll see. Doomfist and Maga. Okay, so I'm predicting Doomfist nerf, Maga buff. Maybe, maybe not. I didn't read these beforehand, so I don't know. I think Doomfist should get a nerf, at least in higher elo, like in top 500 and like GM games, high master games, stuff like that. Doomfist is really good because people know how to play her. However, in lower elos, Doomfist is bad. It's almost like it's a throw pick because you don't know how to play him and he's just really not that good. So, you know, maybe a Doomfist nerf here, maybe not, but we'll see. Doomfist and Maga are 2 of the tanks getting a tune-up. Meteor Strike's minimum damage will increase from 15 to 50. While this might not seem like a big change, the amount of damage this ultimate does scales from the edge of its effect to the center and should result in a lot more guaranteed damage. Ultimately, we want Meteor Strike to give Doomfist or his team the ability to follow up and secure eliminations more reliably. So they're giving Doomfist a little bit of a buff. In higher elo, this will be a problem. In lower elo, like, you either have a really terrible Doom or you're a good Doom and you're in higher elo. So, I mean, that's reality. Don't play Doom if you're in low elo unless you're trying to get, I mean, obviously play him, get better at him, but he's not good in lower elo, in my opinion. Like, once you get to like low masters and down, like, he's just not good. But as you get better at the game, right? Play a hero, get better, practice, learn the game. He's really good right now in the current meta. So this would be a little bit harder to deal with in higher elo, but all right, that's fine. I was thinking he might get a little bit of a nerf, maybe a little bit of a tweak, but he's getting a buff. Slight buff, nothing crazy in my opinion. So this is like his ult, when he comes down, the closer you are to the center, the more damage you take. As you go further out to the corners, you take less damage. Now the minimum damage he'll do is 50. So if you're on the corner, you're going to take 50 damage and get slowed. So not too crazy, but going to make Doom a little bit harder to deal with. Maga is getting changes to his cardiac overdrive ability. Its duration will decrease from 5 to 4 seconds, and its cooldown will decrease from 12 to 10 seconds. Additionally, we'll find his passive overhealth. It will fill his passive overhealth by 100. We want the ability to be more reliable and more consistently give Maga additional survivability. Maga will also receive a buff to his overrun. The stomp damage will increase from 45 to 60. So some tweaks here and there. I don't know if Maga is going to be meta again, but I think he's like a D tier tank at the moment. But if you play him really well, he could be much better. But in most elos and across the board, Maga is really not that good right now. He's kind of like a throw pick like Ryan. But this may push him up a little bit, maybe from D tier to C tier. Maybe he'll be low B tier, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. A tank we are not touching this patch is Wrecking Ball, but we have a small rework coming to our lovable yet deranged Hamster in Season 10. So they're going to rework Hamster in Season 10 a little bit of a change. I don't know. All previous seasons, kind of like Ball was a throw pick. Now that the HP buff across the spectrum, all heroes got it, and Dive is meta, Ball is S tier. So he went from F tier to S tier in snap of a finger. So I don't know what they're going to do here. If the meta changes and shifts, Wrecking Ball Hamster is not as good as he was. So we'll see what they say. So expect all these changes and more to go live for our mid-season update next Tuesday, March 12th. So it's coming soon, guys. I'd like to reiterate that we'll be watching the game and listening to your feedback when these changes go live and react accordingly. In fact, we're already talking about some of the modifications that we'll be making in Season 10. We're also going to be running our next quick play hacked later this season. This one is called Double Trouble, and it removes the one hero limitation in game. Role queue will still be active, but this means that players can choose 2 of the same hero for both damage and support roles. The hero limit was something that was implemented in Overwatch early into the original launch, and it was terrible to play against, by the way. You would have like 4 or 5 of the same, or 5 of the same hero and a support hero. It was pretty crazy in 6v6. It was bad. Or you have all 6 Sims and it was just insane, or 6 Torbs with all turrets everywhere. So in this case, they have role queue, so they're probably testing something, but this won't come into fruition at all. It won't be in prod, in my opinion. You could have 2 Mercies or 2 Tracers on DPS, 2 of the same support or 2 of the same DPS in the game. Role queue still exists, so you'll have 1 tank in a 5v5 format. So it should be interesting, maybe a little fun to do it. So at the time, we didn't have role queue in the game, and players could create a team of 5 Winstons and a support. We called this strategy the Quinston, and it won our first internal tournament. Yeah, it was pretty broken. However, now that we have a role queue in the game, the possibility of creating comps like this is gone, giving players more freedom in which hero they choose and more creativity in putting comps together would be great. We can't wait to see what you come up with. That's it for this game update. We're looking forward to next week's patch, and let's make a great game. I like this patch. I like this director update. I'm gonna do a patch update when it does come out, unless my very pregnant wife goes into labor, which she might be going into labor today. I don't know, but we'll see. Congrats to myself on that. And yeah, I think this is good. I think it's good for the game that they're doing updates so often. They're listening to the community and they're making changes. They see things are broken, they fix it. They see things are bad for certain heroes, they fix it. Or they do little tweaks here and there, not game-breaking things. So I like to see it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you think this is good for the game or not? Do you like what's going on in Season 9? Let me know. Curious to hear what you think, and let's discuss it. Well, as always, happy gaming.